P&F Auto Parts in Munson, Massachusetts, with a 1956 Studebaker Skyhawk. Now, a great design, Studebaker, the Lowy Coupe, which came out in 1953. But by this point in time, a lot of the design elements had been sort of mutated a bit. And this grille right here is very reminiscent of what Mercedes-Benz used from the 1930s onwards. So Studebaker adopted it and absorbed it into this design at the front of this vehicle here. Under the hood, and this one is a V8 motor. And keep in mind that Studebaker was very early with their overhead valve V8s in 1952, the 232 cubic inch engine, which will grow to 259 cubic inches by the time we see it here. 4-barrel or 2-barrel, let's find and see. Okay, that's the basic 2-barrel, and that's a 259 cubic inch engine, kind of small, but also a very heavy engine for the time. This does have the optional electric windshield wipers, kind of a cute touch up there. Of course, generators, standard fare in this point in time, no alternators in Studebaker land until you get into the early 1960s. But again, this is kind of how things were back in the day, and kind of an interesting design. The front of these things was very aerodynamic. This the earliest Lowy Coupes, they had very smooth nose. This not so much, but these are big amongst land speed racers in the 1950s and 60s, and even now people run cars like this one, the earlier ones with the smoother nose. But again, this is a remnant of the Mercedes-Benz design motif. And interesting to see this one has left-hand lug nuts on the driver's side, not just Chrysler. Here they have L right there. So lefty-tighty, righty-loosey, as it were, and front and rear, but only on the driver's side, and not just a Chrysler thing. And of course, Olds and Pontiac also utilize a similar design, left-hand lug nuts on their full-size cars in the late 50s, into the 60s, early 60s. So kind of cool. And this is a two-door sedan, and so it has a pillow right here and full door frame here. And inside, you can see that somebody at some point did a floor shift conversion. This would have had a 3 on the column. I can see the remnants of that still there, but somebody cut a hole in the floor and put a manual transmission shifter down low on the floor. Kind of neat, nice touch, sportier. The dashboard in this thing is a pretty cool engine turn, like a Trans Am Pontiac of the 1969 onward era, but seen her here first. And of course, the Hawk line include the Flight Hawk, the Power Hawk, the Skyhawk, which we have right here, and the Golden Hawk and the Turismo, all of which had an engine turn dash like that, very sporty. You can see something weird too. Studebaker was not as, wealthy as the big three. They were kind of one of the independents. Bolt-on rear quarter panels right here. These big bolts here secure the quarter panel to the body of the car right here. It makes removing and replacing these things easier after a collision, but the bolt-on quarter panels covered up with a piece of chrome trim right here. Ordinarily, it's been removed for this car here. And interesting too, the gas filler door is in the quarter panel right here. Comes up like that to fill the gas. I'm sure hundreds of thousands of gallons of gas went through that from 1956 and until the time this car was retired. And on the back of the car, kind of a cool styling touch, courtesy of Studebaker. And you can see there's a ribbed effect on the trunk lid, the deck lid right here. And of course, Skyhawk right here. Kind of cool. And they didn't have to do this, Studebaker to style this, but they did. And there it is right there, Skyhawk. And inside the trunk, lots of room for all kinds of stuff. It's a very deep trunk. My gosh. Spare tire fits flat down in there, and lots of room for the spare tire and groceries of all kinds. And something kind of cool. These are radios right here. This is a Studebaker radio here, but also the 50s and into the early 60s. You see these have the Connelec, the civil defense logos right here and right there. In other words, if there's any kind of a military emergency, tune to those stations and you get the word on where the nearest, most close by fallout shelter would be. So you can get to that place and see coverage from the nuclear, hopefully not nuclear war, but that was a big thing at this point in time. The Red Menace and fear of World War III breaking out. Kind of still a real thing, but with that said, that's what that is. These two little things right here, tune to those two markers right there, and you'd get the word on exactly where to go in the case of an emergency. Dual exhaust on this one here, probably added, although it's possible it was factory stuff. But on a 2-barrel, I would have to imagine these are probably add on. The quarter panels, again, they bolt right on. Here's right here, you can see right there, where easily removed. Just remove the bolts and flaps around right there. Kind of neat. Easier to build and repair. Way cheaper to manufacture. And these are body on frame cars too, not unitized cars. Studebaker never had a unitized car. They're always body on frame. Cheaper to build and also more durable and rugged. That's the story of this 1956 Studebaker Skyhawk. And if you want to learn more about maybe buying this car parts from it, you can reach out to P&F Auto Parts by calling them at 413-267-5167 or emailing them at p&fautoparts.com. Choose your mode, and I stay out of the middle. I'm not involved with the sale of anything, but you can buy parts from this if you want the radio, the left-hand lug nuts if you want, feel free. But again, thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to the SteamMags YouTube channel, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Junkyard Crawl.